Hey, well, it's Tuesday. It is Trekland HQ here, as far as I could tell. And we are live. Yeah. The Billions, the Point, and the LLAPY Awards, Star Trek. All today on episode 388, can you believe it, of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek Larry Nemechek. Coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47, and especially those Trekland Treks that we offer your own customized away mission. Get in touch with me. We will concierge, but best of all, we will pre-plan 4 stops around Greater Southern California that you want to see and experience live, like your own actual away mission to the real places, not stages, but over 50, choosing from among over 50 outdoor locations. Outdoor and indoor as well. But hey, it's another TTL here. Glad you're joining us this Tuesday for some sanity, clarity, and a bigger picture in all things Star Trek. And hey, everybody, if you are new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, welcome. I'd love to hear how you found your way here. And the way we know that is if you find where the chat is. Click on the chat button, make sure you're in there, because we've got a great batch of TTLers, because this time of day we can be around the world and global. And as I have done for nearly 8 years, we've been together at this time on Tuesdays with folks from Europe and Australia, and at times South America, and even a few times from Africa, I think. I do remember. So it's great to see everybody. Hey, today's kind of a grab bag. So buckle up. I'm going to touch on, usually I like to have a single topic because I just think it's more focused, but the pickings are kind of slim right now, but there's still some worthwhile things to talk about. But before you jump in with me, just know that I'm going to talk about a topic. What a concept. Then we'll take a mini break, and then I will dive into the chat. Okay, so I'm not ignoring the chat. Make sure, and for one thing, let everybody know where you're coming from. Say hi, how's it going? Hope the weather's there. Hope the socio-political sanity level is on the rise where you are. And most of all, to know that if you're on YouTube, A, you're going to see all the comments from everyone. And B, if you're on YouTube, you can super chat me and throw a little silver my way, which is always appreciated, because these are otherwise not monetized, aside from the great support we have from our Patreon community. All right. If you're on Facebook, you're only going to see the Facebook comments, just to say. And you know what? If you are watching us later, not live on YouTube, please go ahead and sound off in the comments. Keep the conversation going, would you? And maybe you can join us sometime on a Tuesday afternoon. I say 1-ish Pacific, and all the rest, 4 Eastern, and then 9 UK time, 10 Central Europe. You'd think I'd done that enough. And we're in that hour usually somewhere. Pretty good. Good to see everybody. And I'm watching the comments. It's a slow time in Trek, and yet there's an ominosity to it. People are bubbling. It is spring, or in winter, trying to get out of winter, heading into spring. And so, yes, it's a little big. I'm excited because the cruise is now about 10 days away, and I've never done one before, never done the Trek cruise. I'm going to be hosting and moderating there. And I know that's only select few folks who are on the cruise. If you can ever make it, save up your pennies, or just decide that's going to be your thing one year. It's awesome. ECP does a great job. This is their 8th. This is Voyage 8. I'm really looking forward to that. But what's even faster is some events coming up this weekend for folks live and virtual. And I'm going to get to that today. But first off, it's a grab bag. So at the risk of diluting the message, I just want to say, I touched on this last week, or I think I tweeted it when I first saw it pop up. I boosted signal. And then it was funny because a lot of folks who are likewise looking for something to talk about with Trek glommed onto it. And it's a little bit like a trip down memory lane for us here, because way back 9-10 months after I started, we were reporting every week when they were a newbie company. Since the world was new to all of us and most of the world, I'm talking about 2017 when Discovery aired, first started on old CBS All Access before it became Paramount Plus, and the world was still getting its arms around what Netflix and Prime were doing, and Hulu, and then all the startups, of which CBS/Paramount was the first. If you remember, before Peacock, before Disney Plus, even there was CBS All Access touting Star Trek as its flagship, right? And the Good Wife spinoff. But we haven't had Parrots went commercial. They started charging for we did them every week. So it's a little bit of a throwback. It's a little bit of a time machine. And some of you all that have been with me since those early days, the early years, like 2017, 2018, pre-pandemic years, especially. It's funny to see that this story that took the world by storm, the headlines, Star Trek has made $2.6 billion for the streaming services alone. And people are like, oh, what is that? Well, it turns out that that's, yes, our good old friends at Parrot looking at their analytics, because it's not like Netflix and Prime, much less Paramount Plus, opened up their vaults and said, hey, everybody, here's our numbers. Now, look, we've come a long way since those early days of wondering what these numbers meant, since they did a big shift on the, what was it? The average daily attention, average daily, I've forgotten. You'd think. I'd never forget that after all those years. But the weekly top 10 we would do, well, they're charging for the out-and-out service that way, but they do still do press releases from time to time. This press release that was really the gist of the wrap.com that I saw story was the first one out, but lots of folks have done it. I'm looking at a movie web right now saying that they came to that. It's the paired analytics. It's all their algorithms, right? There's no hard and fast numbers from the companies that they're adding up here. Yahoo Finance did a pretty good one. Here's the thing, and here's the pretty graphic that got everybody's attention. This is a quarterly streaming subscriber revenue from Star Trek franchise from the first quarter of 2020, which ended with a March going into lockdown, right? So this is basically pandemic and after times. And if you can see the colors there, purple is Paramount Plus, red's Netflix, the light blue is Prime, and the green is Hulu, and the gray is other, the slice. And you're like, Hulu? Yeah, see, it kind of pops off. So what's a little bit misleading, some people saw that and said, oh, okay, it's Parrot's analytics. It's good news. People were like, wow, we're going to quantify this. Well, people then say, well, what are you quantifying on? Because we're back to Parrot and their average attention, their average view, right? Their analytics, but they have been growing. They've been contracting and partnering and allying with some of the studios and some of the networks, everybody, to bring them data. Because in case you hadn't noticed it, we live in the data revolution, the data age, and it's our data that's for sale. But they're breaking it down from first quarter 2020 to third quarter 2024. I guess last quarter, this hasn't finished for 2025, and last quarter is still too new to process. They're saying that in that time, Netflix earned over $1 billion in global, we're talking global subscription sales. And if you remember, they not only had a lot of the legacy shows, they had Discovery exclusively and co-financed it. In fact, they put up the lion's share of the money the first couple of years for Discovery. And over the same time, Paramount Plus has brought in almost as much, $940 million. Then Prime, Amazon Prime, which remember was exclusive for Picard's first run, has had about half that, $466 million, and everyone else has been $225, Hulu and on down. And they're saying that since it launched in first quarter 2021, Paramount Plus did, although it had been CBS All Access, but the rebranding, they have grown all the way along. They say every quarter. And you know what? This story is behind a paywall. The wrap was Yahoo Finance has a free one that gets into the nitty gritty here, and the wrap reporter is noting that from the Parrot data, every quarter since fourth quarter 22. Okay, so fourth quarter 22, all of 23, all of 24 till the report runs out. So 2 years, Paramount Plus has gotten the most revenue from Star Trek, which makes sense. That's when the contract shifted. That's when Netflix's original deal with Discovery went away. They quit. They lost their love. They fell out of love with Strange New and all of that, and they never had Picard. That's grown. And they're saying altogether that Star Trek films, just the films, have generated 198.6 million globally across all the platforms. So they're saying here that, remember, that the movies got 198 million, but the shows of that big member, that what was it, 12.6 billion, 2.6 billion, of the 2.6 billion, only 198, only 200 million or so came from the movies alone. And they're saying, for one thing, that'll temper expectations about Section 31. But that always gets back again to when people love to talk about the Star Wars movies and the Star Trek movies. And I'm like, you're talking apples and oranges. Or the Marvel DCU or DCU or MCU versus Star Trek movies. I'm not trying to excuse the movies, but they're not that they make the big impacts. We have memeified moments from Khan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the movies are still not what Star Trek is about. They're about the weekly adventures that expand the characters, expand the missions, expand the universe and the canon. And that's why I said all along, the JJ movies, hits or bombs, are not real Star Trek until we're back on small screen. You remember me saying that all through the teens? Yeah. Go movies, you're a great placeholder. You're reminding the mundane world what we're about, but you're not really the core of what Star Trek is, unless we have some kind of weirdly radical shift, which ain't happening. So if you saw those headlines flying by, that's what all the fuss was about. That's what the fuss is about. And they're saying one of the things of having an interconnected franchise, this writer in Yahoo Finance, is that whatever benefit Section 31 gets, it's a spinoff of Discovery, basically, right, Georgiou? So that bounces back, that reflects back over on people going to watch more of the original series. So it's good to see different writers take a different take. There's some website called movieweb.com that was, again, not under a paywall, and they're repeating just most of the data points here and saying that, again, comparing that movie, I mean, saying Star Trek movies are always compared to Star Wars or the franchise, but until you remember that Star Wars is primarily movie driven. Now Star Wars has been catching up until maybe they maybe pushed it a little too far. Mandalorian, yay. Everybody else, maybe not so much, or mixed bag at least. So, and this is some happy talk here about looking around what's going on right now, which we've talked about last week, especially with Star Trek 4. Star Trek 4 doesn't have people near as... If anyone is excited about Star Trek movies right now in the middle of the mess of the economy, of entertainment, when are they going to let David Ellison run Paramount? He's got this CBS News Trump suit now that might slow things, might alter the financials if they just pay it off to get rid of it. It's a ridiculous lawsuit. Sorry, but just to get it out of the way so they can get on with the FTC now not holding up the purchase and get them out of limbo. It's the cost of doing business is getting rid of nuisance lawsuits. But assuming that they do finally get there, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And Alex Kurtzman's contract is up in about, someone said 18 months, but it's really about 20 months. So there's a lot of things on the horizon that are up in the air. But this has been an interesting factoid, even though it is Parrot. It's not hard numbers, but it's a company that over the last 8 to 10 years, these corporations are starting to get in bed with a comfort zone with Parrot and their methods and their analytics and their metrics. I hope that they are a better consultant with the methodology than, say, I don't know, Jamaica Highwater was as a Native American consultant. when he was completely exposed as a fake and a fraud twice. Not until the second time after Voyager had used him for Chakotay. But for now, it's an interesting point. It's an interesting story, and it sure caused a lot of headlines over the last week. But that's what that's about. If you saw that going by and you were like, what? And you know what's funny? Watching when I would post, when I would boost Signal, or just watching in general, what was the number one comment? Number one comment in reaction to that was unified. People had all kinds of, yay, that's amazing, huh? But the number one unified comment I saw from the most people was, and they can't upgrade DS9? They can't high-res DS9? HD it? Yeah. And sorry, gang, I always saw people talk about DS9. I never saw rando people mention Voyager. Not even in the same breath, in the same tweet or whatever. Take it for what it is. Yeah, good question. Now, of course, all that money, someone would point out, Netflix is showing the older series, Paramount Plus is showing the older series. You could make a case for how much of that breakdown is all the legacy shows and how much of it is 2017 forward on series. Or you could even make a point, like, let's look at Discovery now has 5 years in the can. Picard had 3. Strange New has 2 out. Lower Decks is all out there, and Poor Prodigy is now on Netflix. Is it adding to Netflix's? You could look at I would love to see individual breakdowns, and maybe Parrot in their, paid portal might have those breakdowns. They might not. But the biggest one, how much of that billions total was the legacy shows being watched for the umpteenth billionth time, and the new buzz, even with sometimes a divided fandom, or just with evolution. Oh my God, Discovery came so far from day one to day last. Yeah, that kind of breakdown is not part of these numbers. So we'll just speculate. It's like people used to look at the Parrot numbers and say, well, okay, that's viewership and attention, but is it good attention or bad attention? Are they watching and liking it, or watching it and not liking it? Is it, neutral? And the comments, right? It was all about mentions, because they couldn't have the direct eyeballs. Parrot's analytics depended a lot about comments online, in venues, tweets and reposts, and fan videos and TikToks and all of that. And that's what Parrot's, a chunk of their revenue, their metric rested on. And people would say, well, are they criticizing, or are they in love with it, or neutral? So again, interesting. The billions, I said, biggest part of our grab bag this week. Now, the billions, the point. There's a Trek Files that we've just opened our 13th season. And if you missed it, and we have a new episode out today, which is a lot of fun. David Benjamin Tomlinson talking about Linus and the Saurians. And we go back to the description from the paragraph about Saria from the motion picture, from Fed Phillips's aliens list that the costumer came up with. And we had a fun time. But last week's show, I hope you gave it a listen. And you can go to thetrekfiles.com. Now is our page on Memory Alpha, and you have to scroll down to get to the new show. That's the only thing. But when you're there at our The Trek Files page on Memory Alpha, we've now got everything where you can easily scroll and surface search for all 12 back seasons, 24 episodes a season. And, they're all 15, 20, at max 30 minutes a piece. Usually they're around 20 minutes. And we were replying. I had none other than Rod on with me, Rod Roddenberry, Eugene Roddenberry Jr., and we talked about his dad's reply to the studio, to Paramount Pictures, when they were going to do The Next Generation without him, and came up with a plan and said, hey, what do you think here, Gene? Now, that was our very 4th episode. It had been out before in limited guise, but we were kind of the first to get it out and splash it. It was a whole character list. And there were some cringy moments when they were discussing women characters descriptions in the 80s. Painfully beautiful. What does painfully beautiful mean? Is that like Delton's, but visually? Oh, I can't look at you. You're too, Medusans. The opposite of Medusan. Too ugly, it drives you crazy. Too beautiful drives you crazy. This was Gene's, not about the content, but also, number one, the fact that you're doing a show without me. You can't do that. But also, in pushing back against that, thanking, but diplomatically pushing back against it, Gene basically said, guys, why don't we review what Star Trek is and isn't? And I just thought, in a crossroads time like right now, with so many pauses and so many pivot points, it feels like we're in kind of a transactional, fluxy time right now. Even though we've got Strange New continuing, even though they've shot a year of Academy and they're about to go barging into a second season, some of the conversation around Section 31, some of the conversation around all the other shows around Picard, even, much less Discovery, over the years, and yeah, especially with Section 31, seemed like a good time to revisit this with the upper level of Paramount's management now shifting, perhaps, and even what the hell does the streaming world going to look like? What really is the business model? How do you make money, and how do you know you're making money? And not having to have Parrot Analytics headlines tell the world this or not. And Gene's point that Rod got back to was basically, some things we'd say, right? That Star Trek is not about space battles. Rod had a good point. When we talk about conflict makes good drama. That's the Greeks going forward. That's probably caveman tales. That's what anybody studying writing, whether it's screenwriting or prose narrative writing, whatever you're doing, structure is one thing, and building a plot and having reverses and all of that. And we talk about that. I really suggest you go check out the Trek Files last week. Always check it out. But last week's episode too. And then he had another point that I also remember from, 7th grade lit and things about the different kinds of conflict, right? You remember and yes, we're saying man here. We're meaning person, human. Man versus man versus nature, man versus God. And, I remember reading To Build a Fire, Jack London, and that was our example of man versus nature. Some of that elementary basic stuff, but we were talking about how that gets lost when people talk about, well, we've got to have conflict and drama. You got to, and Rod's point, repeating from his dad, was, well, conflict, and just because it's sci-fi, conflict doesn't mean two ships shooting at each other. It can, or even two troopers with their disruptors and phasers shooting at each other, right? Or, I don't know, neck pinching each other. Conflict can be, you're a lone ship fighting a giant robot monster. You're a ship fighting a giant planet-eating amoeba. You're a crew member who's at odds with another crew member about something ridiculous, right? You could be trying to figure out, you're an android and you're trying to figure out how to date. He's saying that conflict does not have to be shoot 'em up Western style conflict, which I know is ironic since Star Trek was Wagon Train to the Stars. It wasn't about the guns. It was about the regular characters with a mobile home base encountering some new place every week, which was the gist of Wagon Train. Regular characters with new guest stars going to a new place every week. So you had the familiar against the unfamiliar and learning something about themselves. It was a good discussion. And it just brought me back to the point of everybody talking about, is Section 31 what Star Trek needs right now? And I know. Yes, I know Star Trek needs Legacy, and Star Trek needs Prodigy to be renewed, and Star Trek needs more Lower Decks. I know. Can I just pass along that 2 or 3 insiders that I've talked to are over the moon about Academy? I will paraphrase one person in the know, adjacent but in the know, who said Academy is everything Discovery wanted to be and wasn't. So I don't want to raise the bar too high, crazy now, because we still have Strange New to get through here for a third season. But in this diminished pipeline of Trek, hopefully we have more animateds, but no new animated, maybe. Throw everything on the wall and see what sticks. Go spend money to get subscribers year round. We have passed out of that as an industry model, and now the world is trying to figure out what it's doing. But boy, I covered way too much then. Yeah. We will see. We will see what the world brings. What the point is there, and most of all, and something that could probably apply to a modern era of Star Trek writing, where the big thing was getting used to the demands of being serialized. A lot of times I say streaming, but people, when the business model, when the collective wisdom of those people from Netflix on down, the playbook was serialized. And what does Star Trek look at that way? And Discovery struggled mightily with trying to take the Star Trek formula and apply it to serialized chapters in a book, not 10 or 15 books, but 10 or 15 chapters in one book a season. And we all had to adapt to that. And some of us didn't adapt very well. But to be fair, some of the folks on the creative side were having a rough time adapting to it. And I get it. They're not idiots. It was a new paradigm. And that got better year by year and across all the series. Until somebody has the bright idea to let's go back to episode. Well, Strange New isn't totally episodic, but we have character arcs as opposed to a story arc. But they're learning. We're learning. And one thing that Gene says in this memo, and again, it's there at our Trek Files page on Facebook and on Memory Alpha, the player as well as the document. Gene said he's talking about that first go-run TNG format, The Next Generation. Nothing to do with Picard and Riker and Data and Geordi and Worf and Beverly and Troy. None of those were it wasn't even that century. It was just a little bit follow on from Kirk and Spock time. And it was mainly a dynamic drawing from the Federation Klingon tension. And you can go see it. And Gene's advice was to jump ahead. And they did, 80 years. 78 from Star Trek 4 to the first year of Next Generation. And it was like, let's leap ahead. We're not rebooting. We're not covering over the Kirk, Spock, McCoy history. But we're just going to go 80 years in the future and push ourselves to make their technology more advanced because we have a better TV technology. And what are the issues of today? Because the bottom line was, Gene said, this format, he's talking about the first draft that he threw out the window and started over to give us the TNG we got. He said, this looks like it was more about people sat down to come up with characters than to devise characters to match the stories you want to tell. He said it looked like the character drawing came first, not the story creating. And he was saying, what kinds of stories do you want to tell, and then come up with characters to tell those stories. And it seemed like good advice, but it also seemed like it's great advice for everybody working in the franchise today. And that was our point. So I urge you to go back and look at that. It was a little bit of a refresh on, as we all do, what is Star Trek and what isn't Star Trek? And that's not Star Trek. And I know Star Trek. And who's you? And how many committees? How many folks steeped in Star Trek? Ron Moore, Ira Bear. And how many folks from outside of Star Trek? Nick Meyer never saw it until they worked on it. I mean, it's all over the place. And it was a good talk. I urge you to go back and see that. But finally, the other thing I wanted to mention, there's a lot of little things going on that you should know about. And I said the Billions, the Point, and the LLAPY Awards. And yes, now it's been a busy first couple of months. I don't know if you know this, but this is going to be the fourth annual virtual TrekCon coming out of, let's see, probably not, maybe fifth. In any case, the LLAPY Awards are the Live Long and Prosper Awards. And it's a lot of expected and a lot of fun categories. Now, it's been such a blur the last couple of weeks that the voting on the nominations and the voting on the finalists has all ended. So I was going to promote and say, go over and vote. And it closed Sunday. That's fine. That's fine. The thing is, the show, the LLAPY Awards are going to be where they typically are. They are at 5 Pacific this Sunday. Okay. So you've got, hey, Valentine's Day. Friday is the 14th. And then, but those days over the long weekend is, where are we here? Yep. There we go. Boom. A quickie here. It's the LLAPY Awards as a highlight of the entire virtual TrekCon weekend. Someone's going to bop in and tell me what number the weekend is. Started as a pandemic exercise and just kept going, as so many other things have done. And I am thrilled to say that over that weekend, a lot of folks are bringing you virtual panels. A lot of Star Trek names are going to be a part of this. And yes, for the third time now, we promised you when we ended Life Support Live that Dr. Ali and I, after 2 years of pandemic, would do specials. And it's now up. Our special live in person with a guest, Connor Trenier. What can Trip Tucker teach us about today? That's up live on stage from the mission to San Francisco. The Creation San Francisco, STSF, is up on my page now, on my channel here, and on the Life Support Live old Facebook page. So if you're an old-time lifer or you never knew what Dr. Ali and I did, boldly going through uncertain times, guys, look around. It's still a little bit of room for that. Just not every week at 10 a.m. on Saturday. But we had a lot of fun, and we really want to thank Connor and thank Ryan and Adam and Gary and everybody at Creation for letting us do it live on stage in San Fran, because it's the Bay Area and it's right down the road for Ollie to get to. But our other venue of special has been the last couple of years at VTC, at Virtual TrekCon. So the schedule isn't up, but I'm telling you, this Friday, yes, on Valentine's Day, but carve out an hour at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. What is that? 10 UK time and 11 Central Europe. Ali and I are back with a Life Support Live special. We've got an hour, and I think you're going to enjoy it. We're going to do we've got to hone this, but we're focusing in on the 2 Boimlers of Lower Decks and the Lower Decks finale wrap-up plot arc. So be watching our socials if you're not subscribed to mine or to Ali's. He's changed it now. It's back to Ali. It's anxiety with Dr. Ali. Dealing with anxieties. Anyway, just look for Dr. Ali Matu on his YouTube and all his socials. He's rebranded a little bit to focus on some things, but he's not giving up his geek cred at all. So that's a highlight for me, obviously, 2 o'clock Friday. But the whole weekend is Virtual TrekCon. And yes, Sunday the 16th at 5 Pacific is the LLAPY Awards. There's a pre-show before that. I think Lambda Quadrant and Sci-Fi Sisters are hosting that. Then the awards go by, and then the post-show for the 3rd annual time, me and some other folks are going to be commenting on the awards. So if you're really trying to get a good Star Trek fan fix, you talk about what you're going to see, you talk about what you're seeing, and then you talk about what you just saw. Like the best commercials, the best TV reality shows. That's what you're going to get Sunday afternoon there for a while. So yes, Virtual TrekCon coming up, and the awards at 5 Pacific, 6, 7, 8 Eastern. The award show itself, and for 2 hours, and then immediately, or whenever they get wrapped. One year we were holding for 15, 20 minutes because things went a little long. And those are a lot of fun too, because the awards aren't just fan talking heads yapping about it, which is fun, but they have special guests bopping in. Some of the award winners are there, and some of it's straight up award. We just had the Saturns. Congratulations to all the Trek winners, but this is fan voted. And there's also some fun categories too. So you get the straight expected stuff, and then you get the unexpected too. That's all this long weekend for Virtual TrekCon, and Sunday afternoon for the the show and the post show that I'll be part of. The post show again at 7. And if you're in the Los Angeles greater area this weekend, number one, bring an umbrella. But number two, and praying for our burn areas that they don't have mudslides deluxe. But the rain is supposed to be pretty much done by Friday after 3 days. Saturday, if you're in town and you haven't thought about it, and maybe you want to, yes, it's nominally a Doctor Who convention, but this is the annual Gallifrey 1 convention weekend, put together the power behind the throne if he's not out front, my friend Sean. And for yet another year, other fandoms, franchises are represented. As he told me once, Larry, Doctor Who fans have more than one interest, and there's always at least one token Trek panel, and it's at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and I will be there along with the great James Kerwin and Olivia Youngers. Ensign Riggs is alive, and a full panel at 10 a.m. Saturday. And then I'll be around during the day, which is why I'm not doing anything on Virtual TrekCon on Saturday. My bit is done on Friday and then late on Sunday. So that's coming up. A little bit of relief there, a little bit of relief coming up. And if you're even in SoCal, and if there's cons going on around the country, power to you. We live in if nothing else, I think, even as we creep back to some kind of group awareness, and hopefully being smart about it, if you're keeping up with the health headlines, yes. Some of the, again, silver lining out of pandemic. And this is all one of them. This whole virtual community that no one outside Portal 47 knew about it. We'd been virtual since we were created to be virtual in 2015. So 5 years later, nearly 5 years later, the world caught on really quickly. So that's it. Now, here's the thing, gang. I want to let you know about a couple other things happening. So one thing, and I'm thrilled to pass this on, one thing that, where are we? Where are you? Armin, our good friend Armin Sherman, of course. Quark and the first Ferengi. So Armin's letting me know, and he's spreading the word, that if you're in SoCal, the Antaeus Theater that he's a part of, he and Kitty, his wife, are both part of, Kitty Swing. He is directing, this is a treat, over the next couple of months, he's directing a production of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. And he's not in the cast, but he's directing. Kitty is in the cast, which is, I'm trying to see. She's playing Maria and she's playing Fabian. And they've got weekends. They're doing really well. It's a smaller house theater. It's not huge. It's in Glendale. They have a couple of special days going on. There was Armin and John Billingsley, Armin and Kitty, John Billingsley, Jonathan Frakes, Manny Coto's brother, the late Manny Coto's brother. All are in the Star Trek PanCan team, the pancreatic cancer team. And you'll see them all year long doing a lot of, that's kind of become their big charity focus, raising money. All have had their own personal crossings with pancreatic cancer, personally or in the family. And on February 22nd, that Saturday, there's a special PanCan performance. John Billingsley will be there in the audience, and Kitty, of course, is there, and Armin. He will be there, and there'll be just a vibe. And there'll be some mention made. And if you want to see some folks, that's on the 22nd. If you want to go on a special Star Trek night, that's going to be Saturday, March 8th. And it is nearly sold out, if not already. But he will also be there that night. So a couple of but you can go any day of the run there. Just know there's a couple ones that may be of interest to Star Trek folks and Star Trek adjacent, right? February 22nd, which is 2 weeks from Saturday, is Star Trek night, and it's PanCan night, and Star Trek night is March 8th. But that's Armin's production of Twelfth Night. And if you've not seen Armin, performing, but even seen a play that of Shakespeare that Armin's directed, it's gonna be an evening. It's gonna be a night to remember. And the plot, I'll give you Armin's logline. Separated from her twin brother in a shipwreck, Viola is forced to make her own way in the kingdom of Illyria, Illyrians, where, disguised as a man, she discovers unrequited passion, double crossings, hilarity, and yellow stockings. So that's the Antaeus Theater Company. You can check them out online, get all the information, and get all the details. William Shakespeare's comic masterpiece dissects love in all its many forms. Just wanted to let you know that and pass that along for him. And I'll be boosting Signal on that too. And then the last thing is, if you did not hear, speaking of the Trek Files, we'd never had a good place to have Trek Files community. I was always shocked when someone would come up live at Vegas or somewhere and say, "Oh, I love the Trek Files." And I'm like, "You do?" Not that I doubted them, but I was just like, "Oh, look, it's an actual person in the flesh," because we've never had it. Facebook didn't turn out. And our grand experiment with Memory Alpha has been great for access and having it be an all-in-one place. It's an all-in-one, one-stop shop for everything except community. And we've got that now. We have a channel. There's now a Trek Files, the Trek Files channel on the Roddenberry Discord server. Okay, the mission log / Roddenberry Disco server. Now, you can't get into the channel with the Q&A, or every 2 weeks, we have now launched, had the first one last week. The next will be next Monday, 4 o'clock Pacific on Mondays. It's the Trekophiles time, a live hour with me. We're focusing on the last 2 episodes that would have aired by then, but we can talk about anything Trek. And especially if it's a past thematic thing in 12 seasons of the Trek Files. If you had a favorite episode you want to talk about, or you've got an area of Trek, of Gene's life or Trek production, overlapping subject matters, or, much less a past episode, and you want to talk about it, that's the time to do it. I'll be there for an hour from 4 to 5 Pacific, 7 to 8 Eastern, right? Midnight to 1. I know it's a little later, but if you're a night owl, we can still get you in the UK and Europe. It's at 4 on you go to the Roddenberry / Mission Log Discord. Now here's the deal. It does cost to be on the Mission Log, the Trek Files. It's $1 a month minimum. If you sign up at the Roddenberry Patreon for $1 a month, then you're the Mission Log Patreon. You're in for $1 a month minimum, and you've got the Trek Files channel and our live with me, the Trekophiles tonight live. You've also got access to everything else that's Roddenberry, all the other Roddenberry podcasts and their audiences. That $1 a month gets you into all of that. So if you come over just for us, that's fine. But otherwise, and I'd like to see, and I need to go over and build it up again, to actually have a discussion area and talk about, as I was delving into Rod's comments from last week. It'd be great to see that finally in a forum other than the 3 or 4 people who go over to Facebook hoping to find something to further continue the conversation. And it's just not the place to do it. Discord people can get into a run. I still understand who named it Discord if you're trying to bring people together. Counterintuitive branding, I guess. That's what's going on. But I did want to get that out there. We had a soft launch, but now let the word go forth from this nation that there is a Trek Files community on. There is a Trek Files channel for community on and under the Mission Log server, the Roddenberry server on Discord. And there is a Trekophiles live, Trekophiles Tonight live, every other Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. Alrighty? So, again, this has been kind of a grab bag, but I wanted to, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things small things that deserve to have a mention. All right? So, what's on the agenda here? That's what's going on with that 2.6 billion profit for streaming companies. And yes, we've got the LLAPYs and Virtual TrekCon coming up. If you're in LA and you want to, you can come over. They still have tickets. I'll see everybody on Saturday at Gallifrey 1. And if not, I'll see you live with Dr. Ali again at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday, Virtual TrekCon. It's a life support live special. And then, if nothing else, I'll see you at the long evening of the pre-shows for the LLAPYs, the LLAPY Awards, and the Live Long and Prosper Awards, the results of your fan voting, and then the reaction to that. I'll be part of, once again, at 7 p.m. on Sunday. So, and that's, you find that a lot of places, but the Virtual TrekCon YouTube channel is one, or any of Ryan's show, Ryan and the Sirach and the gang, the Seventh Rule. But Virtual TrekCon, that's simple. Virtual TrekCon for all your LLAPY video needs, and I'll be promoting here on my site. Our life support live 2:00 Friday will be on my channel here on YouTube, because that's the way VTC does it. Everybody who's participating gets a little bit of throw to their channel. So there we go, everybody. Happy Tuesday. And let me catch my breath here just to say that if you did catch us live, go ahead and comment below. I mean, yeah, comment. If you're catching us later, again, please comment on everything we brought up here, anything at all. Try to join us down the line for all those events. And if nothing else, try to join us next Tuesday here live, and you could be in the live chat. But yeah, go ahead and comment, would you please? And look, if you are leaving us now, I'm just saying, stay healthy. The winter season is getting crazy. And a public service note. Apparently, some of our government websites have had their ongoing outbreaks information pages scrubbed. Public service note, the American Medical Association, not known to be entirely political or much at all, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. Gene Roddenberry loved Jack Webb. And the American Medical Association's website is carrying updated information about bird flu and all of the any and all assorted news and spotting and tracking and all of that, and hardcore information about any of these ripples of returning outbreaks that we're hopefully don't turn into a repeat of 2020. Bird flu and how it's evolving. Keeping an eye on that. So yeah, yes, stay healthy, do all the things, and stay woke, stay awoke, whatever you prefer. Check the sources and be ready to hear things you had no idea about. Guys, gals, peeps, just trek well, would you? Thanks. Oh my goodness. You know what I didn't do? Cut that. Before I forget, I've got to thank all of my Patreons. Oh, shame on me. Yes. Thank you so much. Chuck A., James Kerwin, Diana Hopkins, Halbert Gunnjonson, Lawrence Todd. Hey. Justin Weird. Hey. Mitch Keith. Hey, Andrew Jazimski, Josh Patton, Pranikasha Productions, Chris Jiggins, Keith Rombach, and Comedy Forecast. I can't believe I almost forgot you guys, because I appreciate you so much. I really do, and you know that. And our live wires, we just added Brandon Cowles this week, and I will have you up for next week, Brandon, next month. Live wires now are Jesse at Crusher Convo, of course, Greg Wickstrom, Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Gary Williams, James Burkage. There, I did it again. My wife's maiden name was Burkage. That's so funny. James Durovich, David Gregory, Dan Leckie, and Casey Shafsky. Thanks, everybody. Seriously, thank you so much. And seriously, I'd love for anybody else to jump in. It's very simple. I keep it $5 and $10 for the two levels. One is the shout out as the perk, and the other is, and I need to get it to you guys, I will get it this week, access to an awful lot of early day Portal 47 from our earlier years, backstage creative interviews, most of whom you've never heard from, have great stills and stories and tales and pictures. Personal pics make it great. That's patreon.com/Trekland Live. You've got all month here before they take it at the end of the month. They bill you directly, and it's pretty painless. And I do we've had a lot of growth here, and it's been helpful to support the way here the last couple of years post-pandemic that this little show has grown. So I appreciate that. The Trek Files. Did I mention there's a new show today? David Benjamin Thomason, who many faces and many masks in recent Star Trek, but mostly you know him for sure as Linus, the Saurian crew member on the Discovery, and we talk about a lot. The makeup, the arc, Linus going from a punchline to actually being part of the action. But we also talk about the early day Saurians and the motion picture and the goofy motion picture aliens and how Discovery and Lower Decks, maybe even Prodigy, are doing their darndest to bring the Beetlejuicians and the Saurians and more to life. That's on the Trek Files every Tuesday. It drops by 5 or 6 a.m. Pacific time. It's there. And you can get to thetrekfiles.com for a reader and the document. It's the only podcast with paperwork, with homework. Really appreciate that. And again, the Trek Files, join the Roddenberry Patreon for $1 a month minimum and be part of our new Discord community on under the Roddenberry banner. The Trek Files Discord and the Trek Files Tonight, Mondays on Discord at 4 p.m. Pacific. Gang, all the socials are still the same. Larry Machek on X and Twitter and Blue Sky. And it's Larry's Trekland, Larry Nemechek's Trekland. Here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, ring the bell, do all the things, get the alerts. And Facebook and Instagram. Trying to keep Instagram pretty pictures and not scummy. We're doing our part, trying. Most of all, Portal 47 it's your best cure against the post-con blues because it's like a mini-con all year long, right? Check it out, portal47.net. Meanwhile, we will see you back here next week. Stay healthy, stay woke, and yes, stay Trekland. Trek well. All right. All righty there. I felt more like that was a mailbag or an Ask Me Anything one-sided. That's an ATA. No. That's a TYA, Tell You Anything, when it gets to be a little headliney. But I had a lot of stuff to get off. And, we're not being dominated by any one thing right now. The closest to being dominated that people were talking about was that, or some people were talking, was that Billions story. So I am re-scrolling. Let's see what's going on with everybody. Hope everybody, again, wherever you are in this world of ours, is hanging in there. Good to see all the folk. Hey, Christoph, they're in Western Austria. And May, good to see you. Hey, Joel. Aaron, good to see you, Geek Filter. Hands up. Yep, Vulcan V's for everybody. I just saved the Vulcan V's. Hey, Chuck A, thank you again. Thank you for patronizing. Patreoning, I should say. Let's see. Oh, did he come in on Twitch? He certainly did. There you go. That was it. So yeah, we got Twitch going. It's funny. Hey, Dave on the tube side, thank you for being there. Let's see. Hey, Analysis. I don't feel like I see you quite as often as before, but it's good to see you. Okay, Star Trek made $2 billion for the streaming services. I like to know who's getting overcharged because I'm not. I do have a question because most people I know don't watch Star Trek anymore. See, this is the thing. We're so used to. We had decades and decades of thinking about eyeballs viewing. What do the streamers now? A lot of this was blown open by the strikes. The strikes were great for getting some transparency, at least to some people, to pay actors, writers, directors, and the creatives. Well, it's one of those things. It's like explaining how broadcast television worked. It's one of those things that's kind of complicated to explain, but it's also one of those things that, again, they don't have the rule book on streaming yet. Netflix did, or thought they did, or tried to make the world think that they did. But sometimes it's just location bias. I don't know. Sometimes you're just not in a good place for it. We will see. Okay. Oh, Dave. Button up then. Yeah. Exactly. And you. Oh yeah, Gordon Palmer. He wrote me when I was a VW, a volunteer worker, when I was a VW, and then I was the library computer chief for the well committee. And I think that's the first time I had. And I think he bought my concordances annually for TNG. Mm-hmm. Hey Willie, good to see you out there. Here's everybody coming in, and Linda. Yep. See, weather's on people's minds as much as anything. I hope defending the democracy is too. Chuck, waiting for Section 32. I think that's the first time I've seen. You would think that would have been out fluctuating around somewhere, but that's funny. Yeah. Okay. A question. Since before your blizzard froze cold at your home. We got Scott on board. Great. Did I fly right past you? You were just turning up in the. Oh, there we go. Hi, Scott. And you all know that Scott and Kyle edit these when we have the edited version, as well as they edit and produce Second Opinion and anything else special that we put up. Any of the life support specials that come down the pike. Yay for DS9 and HD at least, but what about 4K? Exactly. Analysis. That's $1,111.11 per hour. Rounding off. Excuse me, guys. No, that's not an editorial comment. Oh, I missed the Super Bowl. Yep, Scott. Yep. Doing an up-res of DS9 in the style of Stargate Escape. Every passing year, the tech gets cheaper and or easier and or more thorough. So there's that. But well, it's been 47 years and we finally got. Well, who's even paying attention? It's a pain. It is. This is what I'm saying, Geek Filter. It is a pain to be that beautiful. Yep. Okay, well, we're finding we've actually got some football talk chatter going on here. Okay, analysis. There we go. But now what are you talking about? Conflict here? You thought the conflict of Star Trek from a writing point of view is man versus himself and man against circumstances. Yeah. Man against circumstances is what maybe they've changed it, but when I was a kid, we learned it as man versus nature, the fates, just the world. Man versus the world sounds more like a therapy session. So I guess but yes. Man versus himself, man versus circumstances, nature, man versus man. And there was a fourth one. What's the fourth one? See, this is the kind of thing that gets people going, Zahir. If Gene had a bigger budget and today's tech, if he could CGI ships out the wazoo, would 60s Gene have relied less on non-physical conflict and more on action. See, there are those who believe that some of the dictums Gene had about space battles were just trying to calm writers down and not write up big battles that couldn't be produced. That Bob Justman would just have to come in and hit them over the head with their script. And why things like, if you think about it, the Doomsday Machine had the most visual effects shots of any original series episode. And to me, it had the best score, aside from a couple of Friedman's pieces. But Saul Kaplan's score for Doomsday Machine is still amazing. And John Williams ripped him off for Jaws. I'll say that to my dying day. But this is a great question. I would like to see a panel convene about this someday at a con or a virtual event. That's a topic that's. Notice how I'm dancing around the issue here. I don't know. Now you look at what Gene did when he had money for the first movie, and it kind of became an uncontrolled mess. Excuse me, everybody. My gosh, I'd like to have somebody on the purse strings, not to be the no person, but just to be the sane person in the room. It's the guy paying the bills, or gal. Yes, Dave. I see little clues like the sets are being built in a whole different, and it matches the show. They don't need, there's probably a corollary, an adjacent ship that they take off on at times, but the thrust of the show is not shipboard, so the sets are ground-based, either orbital station or they're ground-based in San Francisco. And I'm anxious to see what this opened up paradigm that's not a shipboard show or even a station-based show is going to be like. We'll see. Comedy Forecast, welcome here indeed. Scott, what did Discovery want to be? Even though it seems to have some of those no one really asked for this things. But that's the other thing. People don't know what to ask. People don't know what they want until they get it. And so that's part of the Star Trek thing. Data is ahead of everybody else. Felt like, well, see, and the motion picture was the pilot for Phase 2, only blown up big. So if you're talking Decker Ilea for Riker Troy, there's that. If you're talking about ship separation as a feature, there's that. If you're talking about holographic entertainment-ish to some degree, there's that. But there's bits and pieces, sure. What is this? If I already asked what you thought about Lower Decks when it premiered, I liked it a lot, not love yet, and thought it had potential. That's fair. You were in the middle of the pack. Star Trek is like obscenity. You know it when you see it. Thank you, Justice. Who was that? Hi, Dice Media Group. How many people does it take to steal IP and make bad Star Trek STD, huh? Really? You're going to go back to 2017? Okay, Dice. Yes, Chuck, the LLAPYs are cool. They're a lot of fun. It just feels like they zoom by. Thank you, Linda. It's VT6 already. I know one year there were 2. I think the first year they had, it's like our SoonerCon back in Oklahoma City. The first year there were 2 in the year, so that's it. LLAPY. You got it, Dave. Yeah, yep. All the winners for Guess the LLAPY Awards are here. Yep. So there you go. Virtual TrekCon is Friday, Valentine's Day Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The full schedule isn't up. I was spoiling the fact that Life Support Live Special number 3 is going to be at 2 p.m. on the Friday Pacific. There we go. I not sure. I know I have done 3 post shows, but I don't know if they had a post show on the first one. I don't know how much it had been dressed up. Oh, Linda, you're very welcome. I miss seeing you there, but we had a couple of in-person lifers in the audience there. Well, Scott and Kyle and Charlotte were all there live. Joel, were you? Yes, you were. You were definitely there live, Joel. Were you a lifer when we were on Saturday mornings during the pandemic from the original days? But thank you. Linda, have no clue what that's about. Maybe you figure it out. Oh, thank you, Dave. It's just let's just run this in the ground, shall we? What now, Chuck? Did you see what we all saw about something? Yeah, Murray. Yes, May. Armin's good thing. Sydney, it's good you can join us. Hi, I hope things are good for you. Can't wait for the Life Sport Live. Well, there you go. And we control it, so we'll do the. If you watch the video, we have the old theme and the timer and everything for our live. We didn't do it live on stage, but we have it set up for the video that's now on my channel here. If you haven't gone over to see our, and it was basically a full hour with Connor in the middle. We brought him out about 10 minutes in. Yes. Oh, I love you guys love. You remember us. Hey, Red Shirt Bob. Yeah, I started late. Where were you? Anyway, you know what? It'll be there. And Bob D left 10 minutes ago to go make dinner. There we go. I'm just lining up all the Tuesday afternoon shows here. I'm just your warm up. That's not the way the world was in 2017. I can tell you that. Hey, Sean. Well, we'll see about that. Okay. Let's see here. Hey, BC. Yeah, well, we're just chatting. Amen, Linda. Amen. Scroll back. Oh my goodness, Sean, thank you so much. I just now came to it, but thank you. We take euros, we'll take everything. Hey, Brendan, thank you. And it's good to see you, man. Thank you for this, Christoph. I need to get this solidified so I can promote it. And thank you for that. But that's it. Go to the Mission Log Patreon. It's $1 a month, and you have access to the Trek Files community and the live show, Trekophiles Tonight. But you can get to all the Roddenberry shows and their communities. And there's a lot of live going on all through the week. There's Mission Log After Dark on Thursdays, I believe, Thursday evenings. Yeah, very much so. Thank you for doing that, since I didn't do it myself. Okay, well, hadn't been keeping me awake at night, Sean. The fact of all the accents was more the thing, but there we go. Okay. Yep. Hey, Melanie, good to see you as always. And yeah, hang on for the atmospheric river. Sean, you and your math and your facts. Look at that. 12 million to do all 172 episodes of DS9. Okay. Is it Man versus Society? Thank you, Comedy Forecast. Thank you, Com. What about Norman Spinrad? Did I mention Norman Spinrad? Yeah. People gripe about Action Trek, but hey, did you see the first Kirk Khan battle? They went to fisticuffs once or twice. Good point, Roger. Good point. Yes, too much stuff. Generally from the sci-fi writers. The TV writers who were trying to do sci-fi would have too much action. The sci-fi writers who didn't know how to write TV scripts, yeah, they were like this. And Gene's caught in the crossfire. Gene and John D.F. Black and Gene Kuhn, John Meredith Lucas. Very true, Sean. Very true. If I were to go on the Treksperts quiz, what would be my preferred topic on Trek? Which show of season or show? Oh, I don't know. Probably just because it's so because I've lived with them the most, original series or Next Gen. Just because I did so much writing, I waded through Next Gen to do the concordances and then revisited all that for the companion. And after all these years, no other series stacks up to that. Bits and pieces and here and there and for different runs, but yeah. Oh, that's cool, Joel. No, I was just testing my brain memory. All good. Thank you for your support at San Fran and for watching the video again. Yeah. Dave. Lifers unite. Yep. Do I have? Yeah, here. We were talking about this the other day. Hold on. So you could still get Life Support Live merch at the T Public store, and on the back, we did not do this, but the lifers came up with this, the drinking game. Saturday morning, I hope it was just caffeine. You drink whenever, can you see this? You drink whenever anybody sings, anybody does an impression, anybody mentions tapestry. that was more of an Ollie thing. Drink whenever Larry mentions McCoy or whenever Ollie mentions the Kelvin timeline. I think we had some more corollaries beyond that too. But yeah. To boldly go in uncertain times. That was maybe one of the best things I've ever done in all my Star Trek years. That I felt like I wasn't just talking about how far from the edge of your cuff your rank braid goes. Something that really meant something for people. And I will always be awfully proud of what we did together. And it's a lot of fun working with Ollie too. I thought we got along really well. Thank you, Michael Grafe. Justice Stewart. Just 1964. A big decade for Supreme Court decisions. Yep. Linda, thank you for chiming in there on Dave. You think you need a Life Support Live session on how to use Discord? Getting old. See, Discord to me is just a throwback to message boards. Every time I look at Discord, I feel like it's just a dressed up version of I'm back in 1989, looking at the early, the Fido nets and all of that, Alternet and whatever. Hey, Analysis, if Starfleet Academy is going to have a ship, what would they name it? The USS Roddenberry? Well, it's a little on the nose to me. I don't like it in Star Trek when they name things after the real, like having USS Nog was great. I didn't like having the USS Eisenberg. I'm just saying that. Of course, I love Aaron. Loved him, miss him all the time now. We love Nog. But I'm just saying, now that's to say that one time on Next Generation, when they were painting shuttle names on the shuttle live miniature that sat on the stage, one time it was painted to be the Justman, and then Bob came by to visit, and they got a picture of him leaning out the window of the Justman shuttle, and that was But most of the time, things don't get named for real world people unless they're way. I mean, Star Chart in jokes is one thing, but names of ships, and it's happened once or twice or three. And then Dave did the Sternbach and the Okuda and the Drexler and the Mandel and the on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it's like, okay, that's just a bunch of overdue fun credit for people. But most of the time when it's a one-off, I would like, because what that means is someone now in the real world of canon Star Trek was named that. And am I making a distinction between all the names on the Akudagrams with the in-house in-joke names? I guess I am. That's one thing. And anyway, and Memory Alpha duly records the Janet Nemechek, who was assistant script coordinator on Voyager, and the commander Janet Nemechek on some crew manifest for Voyager at some point, with all the other people in the directory, the company, the store's directory. So anyway, that goes back to me. That's the origin of MyStar Media and MyStar Press. MyStar, in the original 1980 star charts. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, Dave, you guys are just too much. Of course, to me, I think about it being 10 a.m. Saturday morning. Yikes. But you East Coast Centralers and East Coasters, it was noon and 1 o'clock, right? Yeah. And yeah, this occurred to me, Linda, the way we're doing it now, you go all year and then you get bang. 2 in 1 month, 2 in 1 window. Of course, next year there won't be a San Fran. They're skipping San Fran next year. So the live on stage will go away unless we do something wacky like Ollie gets down to Vegas or something. Hey, Sydney, the random thoughts are the best. They should start to introduce the character Joanna McCoy to the future upcoming series or movies. Well, yes, thank you. I just didn't want them to have McCoy on Strange New, but they're bound and determined to just make it a clone of the original series because that's Akiva's thing. I still wish they'd go explore different corners of the timeline and come up with new characters. But, wait, what? What, Christoph? That's 5 drinks. What? I haven't sung. I haven't mentioned McCoy. She mentioned Joanna McCoy just now. What do you mean? Hey, BC. Yay, FidoNet. Yeah. Guys, I'll never forget my introduction to old school, late 80s, early 90s message boards. So I was visiting some fellow good friends, fellow con organizers at the time at their college apartment and duplex, actually. And they said, Larry, you should come in, and we've got a modem and we're on these message boards, and you should come. Maybe you can help some people out. There's people asking questions about this is literally 1989, okay? Where it's like second season next gen, third season next gen. And I said, okay. And I sat down, and she had set it up for me, and it was, hey, we're talking black screen, and it's a PC. Black screen. I mean, I'd had my Mac for a year or two, but I wasn't modeming and getting online that way. And I start scrolling, and I see 2 people arguing about something. They're arguing about a trivia point. And they were going back, and it was just painful because it was like there was an answer, and they were both like partly right. There wasn't like right and wrong. They both had a piece of it, but they were like, they were just back and forth. And other people were chiming in this one thread on a message board under a topic. And I got in and I said, guys, actually, you're both right. And I went through I explained whatever it was. And so I came back an hour or 2 later, or the next time I visited, came back. And it's like that thread they'd stopped arguing. I don't even think anyone said thank you. And most of the same players immediately turned and started arguing about something else. And there's an old Peanuts cartoon that I love. It's Snoopy is on top of his snow-covered doghouse, and he's ducked down like this because the first panel has a bunch of snowballs all going over his head toward the other side, and he's just ducking down. And then the second panel has return fire, has all these snowballs going at the other side over his doghouse, and he's still ducked down. Third panel has Snoopy standing up, going, peace, peace, nobly, trying to be the peacemaker. Fourth panel has snowballs from both sides coming in on him, and he's back down ducking. It's just perfect. It's a visual. It almost ruins it to talk it. Da-da-da. That's what I was on that board. Now, no one screamed at me and said, bug off. But it's like they just were born to debate and argue, because they heard that and immediately pivoted to something else. And there was a big fire going on about that one. And that is where I learned that Tellarites do not argue for a reason. They just love to argue, which I hate to. I'm not trying to bash my beloved Tellarites. Call it what it is. There's a faction of fandom that's not happy unless they're about something. And the satisfaction of having a question and getting it answered works for a lot of people, but not everybody. Because it's almost like it's not about finding the answer. It's just about exercising the angst or something. I don't know, or being right. Not, which I've noticed this has much application to our outside, to the outside world, to the rest of civilization. They don't really want an answer, or they don't want the problem solved. They just want to bitch and moan about something. Or just, I'll bite your ankle, you bite my ankle, and neither one of us will let go. That's what it feels like. Wait, what? The drinking rules are updated weekly by Jared. Oh, yes. Jared would come in and say, oh, that's a drinking thing. Yes. Everybody drink for that. Yep. That was fun. And then in the same theme song, at the beginning was the happy music, and at the end was the sad music. That was Libby's thing, right? Oh, the sad music. Well, thank you, Analysis. Discord is just a dressed up version of message boards. Well, I mean, it's what it is. I just love the way they became old fashioned 10, 15 years ago. And now Discord is a big thing. And I'm like, well, isn't this what people stopped doing 10, 12 years ago? I'm sure there is somewhere. You may be thinking of Heisenberg and the uncertainty principle. And that's what the Heisenberg compensators are, the uncertainty of getting your atoms reassembled in the transporter. Well, it works because there's a Heisenberg compensator that comes from that. Oh, yes. Yes, the Farouk El-Baz, the first unofficial science advisor of TNG, and the shuttle pod named for him. Yeah. Well, this is what I mean. Analysis. He's technically an admiral, and all the dedication plaques on the bridges. Yada da 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 da. It's just too close to cute. It's just, what do they say? Too cute by half. Yeah. Yes, Christoph. There seems to be a major iceberg thaw. On guests. I've got 6 or 8 in the bullpen, and I can't get anybody to respond. But yes, Portal 47's Euro and midday session is on tap for tomorrow. Absolutely. Now what? That Discord board connection is connected to Discord Legend. Oh, is connected to... So guys, we have these things called periods for a reason. Legend has it the founders used to be members of the Adult Swim message board, which is a late night television network, right? That's what the rumor states, and you believe it? No, people still do message boards. The old folks like me in their 40s. Oh, that's cool. But people on Discord are younger than 40. Younger than 40, are you? Michael, you still take a drink of your beverage anytime anybody mentions Franz, and it has to be the full name, right? People go Franz Joseph. I get his name. His name was Franz Joseph Schnabelt. Oh, analysis. Who's counting, Jack Benny? Are we at the end of the chat? Are we at the end of the chat? Maybe we are. Maybe we are. Well, it's been 90 minutes. It's been over 90 minutes. Hey, gang. I guess we should call it. Should we call it? Let me just remind everybody, okay? Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern, etc. It's Life Support Live special number 2, the virtual TrekCon special for an hour on my YouTube channel right here. We'll be promoting it. The whole weekend is virtual TrekCon. A lot of it will be on the VTC YouTube channel, especially the LLAPY Awards at 5. I guess the pre-show is at 3 Pacific, with the Sci-Fi Sisters and Lambda Quadrant. The awards themselves are at 5, and then I will be on the panel, heading the panel, not sure quite yet, at 7 for the post-LLAPY reaction show. I think this year, are we competing with the Pro Bowl? Okay, no, I think they've already happened. Absolutely no football competition to do that with. If you're live and local and can do it to SoCal, I will be at Gallifrey 1, where they still have tickets available. The token Trek panel at Gallifrey 1 is 10 a.m. Saturday, and looking forward to at least a day of stuff. I'll be hanging out Saturday. And then, a week from that day, I'll be flying toward lovely Miami to jump on the cruise. And some of you are on the cruise. I'm just excited to be on the first one. I'm hosting and moderating and presenting, and who knows what all. And then after that, I have I'm pretty sure we have a tour of someone to show us around the Cape. I have to get up to Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center. Lifelong bucket dream list of mine item. Anyway, that's what's going on, gang. Watch the LLAPYs, watch VTC. Come see me if you can. Get over to the Mission Log Patreon, jump in for $1 a month, and come join us at the Trek File. Prove to me that there is actually human beings behind the hundreds who download the Trek File every week. Thousands, maybe, eventually. And we'll maybe see you, hopefully, at Trekophiles tonight, next Monday at 4 p.m. Monday the 14th, 15th, 16th, Monday the 17th. Anyway, thanks everybody so much for dropping by today. Thank you all. Thank you, former lifers, for remembering the drinking game. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, Joel, I did that just for you. Newbies, old veterans, whatever, lifers. Yeah. There you go. It's a grand night for singing. Yep. Hey, everybody. Yes. And you know what, gang? I don't say this very often, but I love having everybody here, but some weeks it feels like we have some new folks, some weeks we don't. So I would totally not mind it at all if anybody wanted to say, hey, have you joined Dr. Trek for Trekland Tuesdays Live? Set your timers on YouTube and come over and join us. Yada, yada. Maybe we could actually grow this little base a little bit. Who knows? What a concept. But until then, or in spite of it all, thanks so much for everybody being here. Once again, thanks to all of my Patreoners. Boom. Thanks so much. Again, you can jump in for just $5 or $10 a month at patreon.com/TreklandLive. There it is. We are heading into springtime. This rain won't last forever. This drought won't last forever. The fires are going to heal. The burns doesn't affect 99% of what we would do on a Trekland trek with you across greater SoCal from nearly the Mexican border all the way up to the Picard Vineyards. I will say that's a big swath. 90% are right here in greater LA, though. But we'll find that out when you get in touch and we work on your itinerary that you want to do. Would love to do that with you and then be your concierge for the day with the Trekland Trek. Hey. Guys, the Trek Files again, I need to do a new card so we can talk about the Patreon for Mission Log, and that's your access to our new Trek Files community. Otherwise, thetrekfiles.com gets you to our enhanced database now with the document every week, with a little audio player and all the hot links back into Memory Alpha right there. The Facebook page is still there. It's not going anywhere. And yeah, all the socials. Larry Nemechek on, hey, the blue sky. I'm nearly to 4,000 blue skies. Who's going to help put me over? It's slacked off a little bit. We're not in the middle of any controversy right now, so people aren't hot and finding me. But blue sky, and still on Twitter, and all of them. YouTube, Larry Nemechek's Trekland, also for Facebook, and we're still trying to keep Instagram pretty. We'll see if we can keep up with that. Portal47.net, if you just want to jump in and see what all the talk is about. We're talking Trek. And yes, my Portales, tomorrow at noon Pacific is the European and midday edition. That's going to do it, gang. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for hanging in. Keep your Trek heads up. Okay? Stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke. Check your sources. And Trek well.